Entitled neighbor keeps using her yard, she gets spectacular payback. It had been years in the making. After countless police visits and plenty of vindictive drama, they were finally in a position to do something about the horrible person. She fixed a wide smile, rang the doorbell, and then handed over the little piece of paper that would forever change everyone's lives. Emily Swanson and her husband had been saving for their dream home in Hawaii for years. Through frugal living and a bit of market luck, they were finally able to rent a beautiful 5-bedroom slice of paradise, complete with a spacious backyard and oceanfront dock. Everything seemed perfect until she met the neighbor. The first explosion happened after Emily and her husband threw away an old playset. Tanya, a robust woman with an unhealthy fondness for leopard print and profanity t-shirts, stormed over and bellowed that they had no right to take away her children's toys. Emily restrained her fury and calmly reminded her of two very important facts. First, the set was on their property, and the mutual landlord of the duplex said it was okay. Second, she knew where the property line was, and the kids were welcome to play, as long as they were respectful of the space. Emily already felt a thick stab of dislike for the woman. But a few weeks later, she heard pounding music. Leopard Lady had taken the kids' can play invitation as a sign she was allowed to host an enormous family party sprawled across the entire lawn. Emily seethed as they were ordered to stay inside, and drunken party-goers incessantly pounded on their back door, demanding to use the bathroom. That was it. No more. As Emily sipped on her morning cortado and watched the workers erect a fence with pure satisfaction, another round of ear-piercing adult tantrums echoed across the waves. Tanya was furious with the new boundary. Emily and her husband rolled their eyes at each other. It was the start of the not-so-passive-aggressive war. It was supposed to years of blissful mornings with fruit salad and watching the ocean. Instead, cigarette butts and other garbage were tossed over regularly. Months turned into years, and the police eventually knew their address by heart because it was the horrible neighbor's main ammunition. Emily turned despondent as her heavenly paradise turned sour and rotten. It didn't matter that the police sided with Emily every single time. Each financial installment in their rent-to-own property felt more like a devastating investment into misery. Sickening stress was now a constant in their life. She was on the verge of giving up altogether when the landlord suddenly offered a very interesting opportunity. The housing market was insane, and the old man was tired of being a landlord, especially to the crazy girl that never shuts her pie hole. Emily's jaw dropped to the ground as he offered the wonderful, utterly magical solution to all of her problems. Fruit salad and tranquility would be in her future again. The old man was desperate to sell the other half of the duplex and wanted to give the first chance to Emily and her husband. She felt a new surge of joy swell in her heart at the idea. It was extra great because she would be able to move her aging parents in beside them. It didn't take long for the paperwork to go through and the final plan to unfold. They weren't idiots. Before the glorious day, they made an LLC and confirmed the end of lease was soon, as well as had the notice papers ready. It was with immeasurable pleasure she knocked on Leopard Lady's door, handed over the notice, and asked for the rent. But that wasn't the best part. It turned out the wretched neighbor had just moved her mother in. The old woman wasn't just mortified at her daughter's behavior. She repeatedly and sincerely apologized for everything that had happened over the years. "I didn't raise my daughter to act like this kind of maniac." Leopard Lady turned beet red with rage and embarrassment. It was an alliance Emily would have never imagined. Not only did the old mother keep an exquisite and effective peace, but she also ended up being very pleasant company. Every Wednesday evening Emily and the woman had drinks and baked, and each time Tanya blistered in silent anger. But one thing held true. Emily and her husband weren't malicious people. She was more than happy to let them stay at base necessity rent until they managed to find a new home. Part of her was going to miss the old woman and their sudden, brief friendship. She was the neighbor she had dreamed of the entire time. In the end, the house was finally emptied and moving trucks sped away. There was one last, spiteful, yet hilarious, letter left in their mailbox, on animal print paper no less. Now, Emily could finally breathe. It was time to enjoy their slice of paradise.